43. Ironically, you know it's meant to be because last week I was 42. It was episode 42 and I had my birthday, and now I'm 43, episode 43, right after 42. Woohoo! Podcast! Fun times in the city. COVID's rampant, Omicron. What you gonna do when dusk down, when the zombies come on with a mask and you can't tell that they're a zombie because they're wearing a mask? The world hasn't changed since COVID. It is still jacked up. When are we going to have our old normal back? This new normal sucks. I don't want normal. I want it obsolete, obtuse with some stuff that we get a fighting truce. Truce, don't kill us no more. Is there a flu? Do you got a cold? Who's got the sniffles? You lost your smell? What the hell is going on? This week in politics, stock market crashed. Charlemagne the God asked Kamala Harris who the real president is. What? I was watching Drake and Kanye West did a free concert at the Coliseum on Amazon Prime, and not once did they mention the dude who was in prison that they were having the concert for. What the hell? He had clothes that said free him, so... But I don't understand what has happened to my hip-hop. Mine. It was mine at one point. I felt like I was part of it. I owned it. I could digest it and be happy presenting and doing with what's it and consuming and giving money to go to shows and get music. And it has lost its mind, ladies and gentlemen. Do you give 2 Fs or just 1? I don't know. That's for you right there. Just learning sign language. Just learning sign language. Language of the signs. What's up? Christmas is this week. Yay. Yay. Best thing about Christmas? Food, presents, family, movies. I don't know. I have so much anxiety and hypertension about the future that it's very difficult to live in the present. I've come to realize nothing matters except for the moment. Easier said than done. Trying to learn new stuff. There's a process to it. To digest it, find the information you want, take notes, regurgitate it, and then implement what you've learned. Try to do that every day until you're 100. Not impossible, but not easy. But if it was easy, everybody would do it. But I don't know. Isn't it hard to play a new Call of Duty, get a new job, find new streams of income, find a lover? Why not get really hot with an electric blanket? Went to the movies. I saw Ghostbusters Afterlife. It's pretty good. For a reboot or continuation of a oldie but goodie. I saw it in theaters. I liked it. I thought it was better than I thought it would be. And, these reboots or whatever, they're kind of hard sometimes. I'd check it out. Ghostbusters Afterlife. Good. Also, I peeped Audition, which is like a horror film. It's kind of crazy because it's like a beautiful drama and it is all normal. And then like the last 30 minutes is just this chick who's torturing this dude, and that's pretty gory. She got needles in his eyes and just like it's good. It's just crazy, right? Like it just goes from one end to the other. But I'd peep it out. Audition. It's kind of a thriller horror type dealio. And I peeped on Amazon. It's a Spanish movie called The Platform, and it's super bizarre. They're like in this prison that they wanted to go to, and there's this platform that comes with food every day, and people ride it and fight and kill, and they end up on different platforms. So if you're at the very top, you get a ton of food, and if you're at the very bottom, everybody eats it by the time it gets to you. Super bizarre concept, but pretty fun. At least I enjoyed it, and it's cool to see them international films doing it well. Also, I peeped out Sleeping Dogs. This is cool. It's like based in New Zealand. I think it's late 70s. I know it's late 70s. This is a beautiful copy. It's an Arrow video, and it's Blu-ray. Obviously, I think it's rescanned or whatever. But it's like this dude who's like, oh, I want to give up on life, and he goes to this island, but the island's ran by like revolutionaries, and they set him up, and he goes to jail, and he escapes through the cops and into an ambulance, and then he's on the run, but he's going to safe houses from the dudes that set him up. So it's on that tip. So it's kind of fun, pretty cool, little action adventure. And I also peeped out the new Centurion. This is it's cool. I mean, it's like a cop flick in LA, so they're like cruising around, and you can tell it's LA way back when, but it's kind of fun. Interesting little insight into LAPD and the baloney that, you know, you guys got to deal with. The picture is about cops by a cop. It is back to blast the screen. Booyah! Those new Centurion man. The new Centurions. No man. But has the dude who played Patton. He's one of the main cops. And it also has Stacy Keach, who I know you've seen. I didn't know that was his name, but I've seen him in tons of things, and he's fantastic. It's like one of his early films. But I definitely check it out, dude. Cop flick. And I've been reading for a while. This book, I don't know, it took me a long time to read. I guess because I pretty much just read like one story a night. It is a collection of short stories from 2018. It is titled No Bars and a Dead Battery. And it's the short story hackathon contest winners. So what's cool about this is they all start with the same sentence or the same paragraph and end with the same paragraph. So this is how it starts. Let me read it to you. So it's kind of fun in that regard. So I don't think I've ever really read a book like that. And because it's a contest, it's kind of fun. I think it's in order too from who won it. But as you get to the end, they get really good. And I don't know if they were nowhere near winning, but no coverage, not even one bar. The battery was dead anyway. It was still daytime, but there was an overcast sky, which had a perfectly even dullness, so there was no way to tell what time of day it was, much less which direction was north or south or anything else for that matter. A 2-lane blacktop road snaked up into the distance and disappeared into some trees, or a forest if you wanted to get technical about it. It also snaked down toward some lumpy hills and disappeared there as well. What sounded like a 2-stroke chainsaw could be heard in the distance, but it was impossible to tell whether it was up in the forest or down in the lumpy hills. This had been happening more often lately. 2 different ways to go, with a dead battery and no bars and nobody left to blame. So that's how they all kind of start. I mean, they're pretty accurate, and there's maybe a couple extra words or sentences, but it's basically that thing. There's a 2-stroke chainsaw in the background. They got no bars, no reception. It's cool. So all these different writers just go bananas with it. Like nowhere you could, if I gave you that and you're like, oh, I'm going to come up with stuff, like, dude, they got just fun goodness going through. And then it ends, they made their way through, they always have like this Cadillac Eldorado in it and these crows, right? So go with that. They made their way through the crowd and back to the Eldorado, and as they approached, a crow flew directly over their heads and landed on the hood and looked at them. They stood some distance away and watched the crow watching them. Another crow flew directly overhead and landed beside it. The first crow squawked, and then both flew away. They watched the crows disappear, looked at each other, and then got in the Eldorado. Only one way to go this time, with 5 bars and a full battery. So again, pretty much all that same content, maybe a couple different words are added or just taken away sentence, but then the stories in between there. So like nothing has to do with that. They all of them kind of intertwine, you know, the Eldorado, a crow and that, but just fun goodness, you know, creative writing at its finest. I'd peep it out. Owl Canyon Press. I think it's about 27 different poems by 27 different authors, or not poems, short stories by 27 different authors, but it's a fun read. Super cool to see how they went about doing it. That being said, try your hardest, do your best, be humble, be gracious, read more books, stay amazing, podcast, Jebuth.